Okay, so this is Luna 2016 Ram Promaster 3500. That's a 1-ton chassis. On the outside here is a slide lock latch. There's a slide lock inside the garage. I call it the garage down here at the bottom. This is where you can put your bikes and your scooters and that sort of thing. There are little hooks for the forks for your bikes there. Anyway, in here is a slide lock, black slide lock. I never used it. The previous owners put it on. I'm the second owner. They did the build. I redid the bed. Actually, let's do one thing at a time. So this slide lock is here. Here's the slide lock unit. I can show you how to use it. It's pretty simple. I never use it. Okay, so this is the garage down here. The original owners did the original build. I redid the bed area to make it a queen size bed and a full size length. It was shortened both ways and it just wasn't big enough. So I redid this section. I replaced a lot of this stuff and tried to reuse as much as I could. I know I reused all this, and I copied their design on the shelves and their stain and everything, so it's a pretty good match. You can hardly tell that it was redone. Okay, so anyway, garage on the bottom, bed on top. There's this privacy curtain right here. It's kind of cool. We had this up on the beach for beach naps. We take a nap here and pull this across for some privacy, and you could sleep with the doors open all day long and nobody would bother you. But I will tell you that if you're outside in a chair, a lot of people are going to come up and talk to you about it because this is really cool. It doesn't look like a camper at all, and when they see it's a camper inside, they're pretty intrigued. So let's see, I tried to use, there's no windows anywhere. You probably know that, and that's on purpose. I wanted to keep the van as private and as commercial looking as possible. So there's no markings on it. You might think you might put like a plumbing sign on it or something like that, but that just makes it more identifiable. So the only identifiable thing about this van is the solar on top, and that was just a choice. Like an emergency thing. If we ever got caught somewhere and we didn't have gas in the tank to charge the batteries, I wanted that solar up there. To be honest, there's just not a lot of efficiency in solar, so all of our electricity comes from the gas tank, and I don't care if gas is 10 bucks a gallon, it's still way more convenient than solar as far as I can tell from all my research. So anyway, that's why the choice. Only 400 watts of solar, but a full AGM battery to hold it all. Just extra paranoia, extra prep. I didn't want anyone to get caught without electricity for some reason. So 2 ways to power stuff, at least. Okay, so this is the passenger side of the van. It's the only side with a door. Like I said, I like to keep things simple. Okay. So this is it. This is the interior. Oh, there you are. Let's see. Okay, so before you go in, there's this little area down here. We kept like dog bowls and dog water and I think a trash can at some point. It's just bolted down. It's solid. It's just a nice bench. I know I'm going to forget a whole bunch of stuff, so just make notes of whatever I miss and I can answer those questions. Let me think here. Okay. So right here, there's a hammock, and it's pretty well bolted in there on steel cables. So you just grab one of these ends. Apparently you got to do everything one-handed when you film it, so it's 10 times harder, so don't judge that. But it's a neat little hammock. You just sit there and and you can just enjoy the sunset or whatever. But that's pretty cool, and it's super strong. I'm sure 2 people could be in it. I've never tried. One thing, when you close the door, it'll want to be there when you close it, and it'll kind of jam up and you'll get a light on the dashboard. So you just want to always be sure and tuck that back. I just throw that back there, and then the door will shut. So pro tip, don't ask me how long it took me to figure that out. Okay, let's see. On this end, there is a curtain here to curtain off the cab for privacy when you're sleeping, I guess, or changing or showering or whatever. I'll go in. And up here, I need to get you better clips here. I was just at a Target one day and this was falling off. It was taped and it was falling, so I just grabbed these clips because that's all they had, or CVS or something. So I'll get you some black clips, or maybe you can come up with a better way to do that. But this really does need to be in place when you're driving. It's just a little too noisy when you're driving, so you really do need that. And I should do a better job on it. We'll figure that out. Here's the refrigerator cabinet, and inside there is a Dometic refrigerator or freezer. Not both, but either or. So you set it to either below freezing or above freezing. Okay, so this button right here, just a generic button, when you push it, that turns on the electrical power to the rest of the residential part of the van, the back part of the van. So it turns on this outlet, and let's see, turns on that outlet right there, and that should be it. Maybe something else I'm forgetting, but you get the gist. But it's a separate circuit, so you can turn that off. These two switches right here are a separate circuit. You'll notice the lights are on right now. It says compressor and fuel pump, but that's not what they are. This is just a switch assembly. So these are just light switches, so you can turn those off and on, and those don't need that to be on. That's a separate circuit, and they're LEDs, so they don't take up any energy at all. Probably live on those for months, years, if not. Okay, so here is the display, the status, the battery display. So we are currently 0 hours from full, which means we are obviously fully charged. I could just say that. Let's see. So if I select, so all I did to learn this was I just literally pushed every single button and kind of figured out what was good and what was bad, and read the labels, and kind of spent about 20 minutes with it, and then it all kind of made sense. So, but literally no issues here. Like, it just works. I kind of watch this blinking light to make sure I'm floating or charging, and I pay attention to this. Oh, one thing, this circuit I think only handles about 1,000 watts, and maybe a little less than that. There's a 15 amp fuse on it. I'm not 100% sure how 15 amps at 110 volts translates, but that sounds like 1,500 watts to me, but whatever. I plugged a 1,500 watt water teapot in this, and I think a 1,200 watt hair dryer in this, and I not blew the fuse, but popped the breaker. And you can go down under the bed in the garage and reset it manually if you need to, but I always just waited because I wanted to make sure that it would do it automatically in case this ever happened to my wife or kid. So that resets itself. Just got to be patient. Okay. And I would maybe even put like a label right here and just kind of tell people that. I should have done that now that I'm thinking it through. Okay, so that's it. So power on, power off, does not affect the lights. Here's the charge panel, accessible to the user, and not 1,500 watts. Just, I'll tell you that, less than that. Maybe a lot less, who knows. But it'll power regular stuff, laptops, all that stuff, no problem. A little thing for paper towels. There's a little desk thing here, that's kind of cool. So you can just pop that out and have a desk there, or a little place to set stuff. I really like the fact that they crammed in storage everywhere they could. It's not pretty, but there's a secret storage place up here, and that'll hold quite a lot of stuff. and it looks really good. And here's a good picture of the insulation, the blown insulation too. So hopefully that'll give you an idea of what kind of an insulation job they did. I had nothing to do with the insulation, but it seems to be at least as thick as the van ridges itself, maybe a little thicker than that, and then but it pretty much fills up the space, the wood between the van and the plywood. So it's quite a bit of insulation. Just storage stuff. So just random stuff in there. We'll leave it there. You can toss it if you like. Okay, let's see. So here's the fridge. Let's see. So you can change that. You can bump it up or bump it down. And let's see. Here's the toilet area. So it's just not a cassette toilet, it's actually a porta potty. I think I wrote cassette in the description. But I didn't click that it actually had a toilet, so anyway, that's the toilet. One thing on the toilet is it's actually easy to get in and out. You just slide this back, pull the toilet out so you don't have to lift it. First time I tried to drop it in there and I actually turned it, but the cool thing about these toilets is they don't leak. So you could roll it and it's not going to leak anything. So that's pretty cool. So last but not least, this is the counter unit. I'll tell you right now, I'm not a fan of counter units. I think they're a big waste. I think the whole idea of trying to copy and paste your home life on the road is a little weird. And it takes up a lot of room, and it's something that you don't use very often at all. When I was on the road, I avoided using this unit entirely, and was actually going to rip it out and make more storage, because it's just not worth it. I'd rather have just a portable unit. If anything, I even wouldn't use it. I'd just carry it so people could use it if they wanted to. And then a sink is probably a good idea. But it doesn't need to be mounted. It can just be a squeeze bottle or a squeeze pump from a water tank. I mean, I don't know why it has to be so perfect. So, but a lot of people like that. It makes a good picture, but it's just not practical in my opinion. So I was going to rip all this out. So you can do what you want. Okay, so I believe this should all work. I can tell you I never use it though. So let me turn this on. Okay, so down here, down here is where the propane tank is. All the wood cabinets and everything are pretty tight fitting, so they don't rattle around when you're driving. Here's the tank. Turn that on. And just so you know, so that's what it looks like down there. There's the connector, runs up through a hose. That's just an extra piece, not use. Up through there, up through the countertop, and then into that burner unit. It's got an igniter, electric igniter, and that plugs in that outlet right there behind the water tank. And so if you're not igniting, you can check your outlet fuse, or check to make sure it's plugged in, that sort of thing. Okay, let's see. Moment of truth here. Let's see, so push it, give it some gas. Hey, Look at that. Same thing over here. Cool. Okay, so that's hot. Okay, like I said, not a fan. Okay, so let's see. This is looks like there's no power to the switch. Oh, I heard it. Okay. Anyway, I was gonna rip this out anyway. The water pump. I'm not surprised. I've never used it. I use the sink a little bit. So anyway, the water pump, it's not that big a deal. You can probably swap it. It might just be power to the pump. I don't think it's a fuse. I've checked all the fuses for everything else, and they're all good, so I don't think it's a fuse. So it's either this pump or the switch or some sort of power supply. Okay, so here is the pipe from the bottom of the sink, plastic PVC down to the base, down to the floorboard. And then there is a metal pipe that comes, that's directly connected to the gray water tank underneath. Remind me to show that to you. I'll probably forget on this tour. But anyway, it's just a gray tank down there. Like I said, gray tanks are great. I didn't want a black tank. I didn't want to mess with the toilet or anything like that. The gray tank just is what it is. Seems to work well.